Hi, I'm Susan Keefe from Rhubarb Cod, and today I'm overthinking carrot cake. We've made it to April, which means Easter is right around the corner. And what's the unofficial dessert of Easter? Carrot cake. And why is that? I don't know. Something to do with the Easter bunny? Carrots are available all year round and are harvested in late spring and early fall, so it's definitely not a celebration of carrot season. It must be somehow bunny related. A bunny that leaves eggs and enjoys carrot cake, or lemon meringue pie. You see a lot of lemon meringue pie around this time. Man, when you really zoom out on this holiday, it's really weird. Anyway, for whatever reason, this is carrot cake's time to shine. And it deserves it. I make a lot of birthday cakes for friends, and regardless of time of year, the most requested flavor is carrot cake, just behind chocolate. It probably has a lot to do with the cake's iconic cream cheese frosting, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's talk about where this carrot fleck delight came from. People have been putting carrots in desserts for a long time. While the modern stacked carrot cake's origins are hotly contested, most historians agree that using carrot as a sweetener dates back to the medieval period, at least. By the 16th century, there are mentions of carrot puddings that contained ingredients that we know and love today, like cloves, raisins, and yes, shredded carrot. They also contained meat, so not exactly a carbon copy. But many historians believe the practice was actually older than that. There are some 10th century texts that suggest that the practice was commonly used in Arabic cooking at the time. By the 19th century, cakes sweetened with carrots became the literal food of kings. Louis XVI's former chef Antoine Bouvier has a recipe for gâteau de carottes in his 1814 book L'Art de Cuisiner. And later that same century, in Switzerland, the carrot cake enjoyed some popularity as a dessert suitable for children's birthdays. But with the proliferation of affordable refined sweeteners, the carrot cake temporarily faded into the background until the Second World War, where it was resurrected largely in the UK due to rationing. And where does the cream cheese frosting come in? Well, that is an American invention, just like cream cheese itself. The first written mention of pairing carrot cake with cream cheese frosting only dates back to the 1960s, so the two have been intertwined for a fairly short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. But enough about its origins. Let's make carrot cake. We're going to start by preheating the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're going to grease and line 3 6-inch cake pans with parchment paper before setting them aside. Next, we're going to pour a cup of raw pecans into a dried skillet. We're going to toast it over medium heat until a nutty aroma. Till they emit a nutty aroma. Put it together, people. Can't hold your hand through everything. I'll do that again. Next, we're going to pour a cup of raw pecans into a dry skillet and toast them until they emit a nutty aroma. I did this because I could only find unsalted raw pecans. If you can find roasted unsalted pecans, you can skip this step. Now it's time for the ingredient of the hour, the carrots. We're going to need about 2.5 cups of shredded carrot. For me, this worked out to be about 4 carrots worth, but the amount of carrots you use will depend on the size of the carrot. Once you've shredded your carrots, coarsely chop the pecans you toasted earlier and set them aside as well. Next, sift 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of clove into a large bowl. Whisk to combine. In a separate bowl, place 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt, 3 large eggs, 1 cup of neutral oil, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Whisk to combine. Add the dry ingredients to the wet in thirds and stir until no streaks of flour remain. Finally, fold in the shredded carrot and the chopped pecans. Now it's time to divvy up the batter. You can, of course, eyeball your way through this step, but stacking and frosting cakes is difficult enough without dealing with uneven layers. So this is how I divide my batter. Place an empty bowl of the same weight and size as the bowl with the batter on a kitchen scale and cancel it out. Then place the bowl with the batter on a kitchen scale and divide that number by 3. Then place one of your cake pans on the scale before canceling it out. Add 1/3 of the weight of the total batter to the pan. Repeat with the final 2 pans. So easy. Smooth the top of the cakes with a small offset spatula and pop them in the oven. Bake for 40 to 45 minutes, or until a toothpick can be inserted in the center of the cake and removed cleanly. While the cakes are in the oven, we're going to make pineapple curd. This is not traditional, but I thought it might be a fun nod to a common carrot cake ingredient. I'm not a fan of pineapple-heavy carrot cake, but I do like pineapple, so this felt like a good compromise. Start by adding a coarsely chopped half of pineapple to a food processor and blitz until smooth. Pour the puree into a fine mesh strainer suspended over a large bowl. Use a rubber spatula to force as much juice through the strainer as possible. Stop when you have about a cup's worth. You can use pineapple juice from a can or a Tetra Pak for this, but I think it's too sweet. I like the tartness of fresh pineapple. To the pineapple juice, add 2 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and a pinch of salt. In a small bowl, place 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Add half a lemon's worth of juice and whisk to form a slurry. Whisk the slurry into the pineapple mixture and transfer everything to a saucepan. Place the saucepan over medium-low heat and whisk constantly as you bring it to a simmer. Continue to stir until the mixture thickens and becomes glossy. Take the pineapple curd off of the heat and immediately stir in 2 tablespoons of cold unsalted butter cut into cubes. Stir until the butter melts and is fully integrated. Transfer the curd to a bowl and cover. Chill for at least 2 hours. Once the cake is out of the oven, leave it to cool in its pan for 10 minutes. Once the 10 minutes are up, invert the cake onto a cooling rack and let cool completely. Don't frost warm cake. It never ends well. I actually like to chill my cakes overnight before leveling and frosting them. They are much easier to work with when they're cold. If you are pressed for time, you can work with room temperature cakes. It will work as well. When you're ready to assemble your cake, slice the dome off at the top of your layers using a serrated knife. Go slow here. I like to work my way around the circumference of the dome lightly with my knife to serve as a guide before slicing in towards the center. I also like to work my way through from multiple angles to make sure I'm cutting evenly. Once the cakes are leveled, take a break because you deserve it and you're parched. Once your cakes are leveled, set them aside. Now let's make the frosting. Place 1 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese into the bowl of a stand mixer. Add 1 stick of unsalted butter, also softened, to the bowl. Beat the two together until no lumps remain. Sift in 3 cups of powdered sugar. Yes, 3 cups. Frosting is what it is. Return the bowl to the mixer and beat until smooth and fluffy. Start mixing on a low speed so the sugar doesn't fly everywhere. Finish your frosting with 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and that's your frosting done. And now for assembling the cake. Now, bear in mind, I'm no great cake artist, and I have a really crappy turntable, so take everything you see and you're about to hear with a grain of salt. Start by placing a rubber coaster thing in the center of your turntable. I have no idea what these things are called. On top of that, place a cake board with a dollop of frosting. Place your first layer of cake on top of the frosting, cut side up. Spoon half of the pineapple curd in the center of your cake layer. Pipe a border of cream cheese frosting around the curd and place a second layer of cake on top. Repeat these steps and finally place the last layer of cake on top, cut side down. Next, use an offset spatula to cover the entire cake with a thin layer of the cream cheese frosting. This is called your crumb coat. Chill the cake for 30 minutes before proceeding. We do this to lock all the crumbs from the cake in so they don't turn up on our final layer of frosting. Once the cake is chilled, pipe the remaining frosting all over the cake. This does not have to be perfect by any means. Use a combination of an offset spatula and a smoother to refine the shape of your final cake. I left mine rustic and textured for more of a cottagecore vibe. I also lack skill. From here, you can serve the cake as is, but I went with a bluebell-inspired design by mixing some leftover frosting with some cornflower blue color gel and piping until I was blind. I then had the brilliant idea of creating stems for my flowers using white sprinkles. How long did it take me? 1.5 podcasts. Do I recommend it? No. So that's everything I could think to overthink about carrot cake. I hope you give this one a go. And if you do give it a try, let me know how it went in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to this channel. I post a new recipe every week and a ton of goodies along the way. Thank you for baking with me. I'll see you all next time.